Welcome back to the Spectrum Non-GMO Raise video series. Again, my name is Jeff. I'm the business manager with Spectrum Non-GMO, and I'm here with Joe Budrow, our in-house CCA, agronomist, and seed consultant. Today we're going to keep our focus again with soybeans, talk about sudden death syndrome. Joe, tell us, what should we be looking for as we're scouting fields for sudden death?
I think it is an important disease that we ought to be mindful of, especially with the kind of conditions we had this spring. And I'm talking about earlier planting dates, which there's a lot of yield information out there that shows that we can increase yield on soybeans by an earlier planting date. We just don't need 3 weeks of cold, wet conditions after we plant the beans, but nobody has any control over that. So sudden death syndrome is related to that situation. Earlier planting date, wet, cool conditions, when the beans don't germinate quite as fast as what we'd like to see them, especially when the sudden death pathogen is in the field. And so it gets infected early with sudden death, while you won't see the symptoms of the disease until we get into reproductive stage of the soybeans, and that's just a few weeks off, maybe a couple weeks here in this part of Indiana. Basically, when we go out there, we're going to look for yellowing. We're going to look for, on the soybean leaf, we're going to see green veins, but we're going to see yellow and to brown to bronze colors. It's going to be probably in somewhat of an oblong type of pattern within the field. And I want to tell you that really there's nothing fungicide-wise that will touch sudden death, and that is because it is in the root system, and so it keeps infecting the soybean plant from that standpoint. What are some management tips? Longer rotation is one thing that we can look at. We can look at also, there are different resistance levels within the soybean, so if you are seeing those type of situations out there, check with your seed supplier and let's see what our sudden death syndrome resistance rating is on that particular variety. So I know we've been focusing on no-till and the cover crop situations, but if we get into a severe situation with sudden death, tillage probably would be something we want to consider in fields where we're seeing significant impacts from sudden death syndrome. It's a disease that's all over the country, and it's gotten a lot of notability here in the last few years. So a little bit about sudden death syndrome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. It's great information, Joe. I think it's going to be really useful, especially as we continue down this path of this growing season. If there's anything else that we might be able to help you out with, any questions we could answer, please feel free to reach out to your Spectrum Non-GMO rep or your local retailer. Again, we look forward to taking this journey with you through the 2021 growing season as we raise this crop.